Have you ever wondered how humanity could allow the Holocaust, one of the most horrific genocides in history, to occur? The Holocaust, a grim era of mass extermination during the Second World War, was not an overnight calamity. It was a slow, insidious process, orchestrated by Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. The seeds of this chilling event were sown as early as the year 1933, when Hitler rose to power. Charismatic and cunning, Hitler manipulated the sentiments of a war-torn nation promising prosperity while secretly plotting a horrific genocide. The year 1935 marked the commencement of the Nuremberg Laws, a set of anti-Semitic and racial laws in Nazi Germany. These laws stripped German Jews of their rights and freedoms, relegating them to second-class citizens. They were barred from certain professions, intermarriage with non-Jews, and even their right to citizenship was revoked. These laws set the stage for the atrocities that were to follow. Perhaps one of the most notable events leading up to the Holocaust was the Night of Broken Glass, or Kristallnacht, in 1938. A night of terror for the Jews, where synagogues were set ablaze, Jewish-owned businesses were looted, and Jews were subjected to physical violence. This event signaled a significant escalation in the Nazis' campaign against the Jews, and it marked a turning point in history, a prelude to the impending horror. The world stood by, oblivious or indifferent to the mounting signs of an impending catastrophe. The silence of the international community, coupled with a climate of fear and hatred, allowed the Holocaust to take shape. The Nazi regime, under the guise of national revival and racial purity, began a systematic campaign of violence and extermination. The stage had been set for one of the most horrific genocides the world has ever seen. Thus began a dark chapter in human history, an era of immense suffering and loss. As the 1940s began, so did the implementation of Hitler's final solution. A chilling period in human history was set to unfold as concentration camps like Auschwitz, Birkenau and Treblinka sprang into existence, casting long, dark shadows over the landscape of Europe. These were not mere prisons but factories of death, designed with the grim purpose of mass extermination of Jews. Auschwitz, in particular, stands out in infamy. Its gates bore the cynically cruel motto, Arbeit macht frei, work sets you free. Yet freedom was the last thing that awaited the millions who entered its confines. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a living nightmare, subjected to brutal treatment and horrific living conditions. In these camps, the air was thick with fear and despair. The prisoners, stripped of their identities, were reduced to mere numbers. They were forced to labor under the harshest conditions, their bodies pushed to the brink of collapse. Hunger was a constant companion, as rations were meager and insufficient. Disease ran rampant, unchecked by any form of medical care. And always there was the looming threat of the gas chambers, a fate that awaited those deemed unfit to work. Birkenau and Treblinka were no different. Here too, the same grotesque machinery of extermination was in operation. The gas chambers, the crematoria, the forced labor, all were tools of a regime that sought to erase an entire people from the face of the earth. Yet amidst the darkness, there were glimmers of humanity, stories of courage, of resistance, of solidarity. Prisoners shared their meager rations, comforted each other, and even attempted rebellions. These acts of bravery, though often futile against the overwhelming might of the Nazi regime, were a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who suffered. In these camps, human life was reduced to mere numbers, a testament to the cruelty humans can inflict upon each other. But let us also remember the resilience, the courage and the humanity that shone through even in the darkest of times. For it is these stories that remind us of our capacity for goodness, even when faced with the worst of evils. While this horror unfolded, how did the world respond? As the Holocaust began to reveal its monstrous face, the international community was initially marred by disbelief and ignorance. The world, it seemed, was unprepared to comprehend the magnitude of such an atrocity. Let's rewind to the Evian Conference in the summer of 1938. 32 countries gathered, ostensibly to address the growing Jewish refugee crisis. But the world was largely silent. Many nations, their economies still reeling from the Great Depression, were unwilling or unable to open their doors to Jewish refugees fleeing Nazi persecution. The conference ended with little action, and the world continued to turn a blind eye. But as the scale of the Holocaust became increasingly undeniable, the tide began to turn. Reports started trickling out from occupied Europe, painting a horrifying picture of mass extermination. These accounts, initially met with skepticism, were soon confirmed by the undeniable evidence of concentration camps and mass graves. The world was forced to confront the reality of the Holocaust. This evidence sparked a global outcry. Nations around the world expressed their shock and condemnation of the Nazi regime. The United Nations, established in the aftermath of the Second World War, enshrined the principles of human rights in its charter, aiming to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The Nuremberg trials held high-ranking Nazis accountable for their crimes, marking a turning point in international law. Yet the world's response was not without its critics. Many argued that the international community acted too late, that more could have been done to prevent or at least mitigate the Holocaust. The question of why the world stood by as 6 million Jews were systematically murdered continues to haunt us to this day. The world, initially blind to the atrocities, finally acknowledged the horror. But was it too late? This is a question that echoes through the corridors of time, a sobering reminder of our collective responsibility to stand up against injustice, no matter where it occurs. As the world woke up to the Holocaust, the wheels of justice began to turn. The year was 1945, and the Allied forces were making significant headway into territories previously held by the Nazis. As they advanced, they stumbled upon a sight that would haunt humanity forever: the concentration camps. They were not prepared for the scale of atrocities they discovered. The liberation of these camps marked the beginning of a long journey towards justice and healing. The Nuremberg trials served as a beacon of hope in the aftermath of the Holocaust. These were a series of military tribunals held by the victorious Allies, aimed at prosecuting prominent leaders of Nazi Germany who had participated in the Holocaust and other war crimes. The trials were a significant step towards establishing a precedent for the prosecution of war crimes, and they marked the birth of a new era of international law. In the ashes of the Holocaust, the world came together to create a safe haven for Jewish survivors. The establishment of Israel in 1948, just 3 years after the end of World War II, was a testament to the resilience and determination of the Jewish people. It was a beacon of hope, a promise of a safe place where they could rebuild their lives. The impact of the Holocaust on survivors and the world was profound and far-reaching. Survivors were left to grapple with the trauma of their experiences, a process that would take a lifetime. The world had to confront the depths of human cruelty and the capacity for evil that had been laid bare. It left an indelible mark on our collective consciousness, shaping our understanding of genocide, human rights, and the responsibility we have to prevent such atrocities from happening again. The Holocaust, a grim reminder of human cruelty, ended, but the scars it left on humanity remain. It serves as a stark warning from history, a call to vigilance and action to ensure that such horrors are never repeated. In memory of the 6 million Jews who perished, how do we ensure such a tragedy never repeats itself? This question is one that we must grapple with as we remember the Holocaust, a dark chapter in our shared history. The importance of Holocaust education cannot be overstated. It is through learning about this horrific event that we begin to understand the depths of human cruelty, as well as the resilience of those who survived. By studying the Holocaust, we are reminded of the dangers of hatred, prejudice, and indifference. It serves as a stark warning of what can happen when these toxic elements are allowed to flourish unchecked. Remembrance also plays a critical role. As the years pass and the number of Holocaust survivors dwindles, it is our duty to keep their stories alive. Every name, every face, every story is a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity. They serve as a beacon, guiding us as we navigate our way towards a more compassionate and understanding world. The fight against Holocaust denial is equally important. Denial and distortion of the Holocaust are forms of anti-Semitism. They are attempts to revise history, to sanitize it of its horrors. We must stand firm against such attempts, for to forget or distort the truth is to risk repeating it. The lessons we learn from the Holocaust are not just about the past, but also about our future. They teach us about the importance of standing up against hate, of speaking out against injustice, of not turning a blind eye to the suffering of others. They remind us that we each have a role to play in creating a world where such atrocities are unthinkable. As we remember the Holocaust, we must commit to a world where such atrocities belong only in the past. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust are not forgotten, but rather they guide us in our pursuit of a more just and compassionate world.